Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Gen Z podcast, or the Gen Z Report, part of Gen's Generational Change. Today, we are being talked to by me, CJ, who's he, him, as well as my guest.
Staz, stay them. Nice to meet y'all.
And today, we are going to be talking about Gen Z and mental health, but not in the normal way of talking about declining mental health or mental health concerns, but more so our attitude toward mental health, neurodivergent behaviors, and our feelings toward therapy. So, without further ado, we're going to first talk a little bit on how we feel. So, the first thing that we have is that globally, 1 in 7 baby boomers said that their mental health has declined over the past 3 years, compared to 1 in 4 Gen Z representatives, and that female Gen Zers were almost twice as likely to report poor mental health when compared to their male counterparts. And that was at 21 versus 13%. We also are much more likely to be seeking therapy for this, 3 times as likely to seek therapy in order to try to feel better and deal with different things that we've been needing to figure out from the pandemic, as well as the variety of other issues that have come up.
Truly. And I gotta say, sorry, but I was gonna also say, especially with how Gen Z is able to find a lot more awareness, a lot more, especially open with technology for as Gen Z is with most mental health. We have been able to have a lot more accessibility, a lot more environability, especially with laptops, phones, and also be able to access therapy and other mental health resources with a lot more new technology as it goes on to the future.
Yes. According to the American Psychological Association, in a blog that we had, the Gen Z, which at the time was being reported of ages 15 to 21, as this article is from 2019, said that mass shootings have been the most stressful of events for what has been as stressful. But there has also been issues with mental health linked to various different things, such as increased use of social media, increased isolation, as well as kind of the country starting to become a lot more difficult. Money and work has also continued to top the significant stressors, with nearly 2/3 of adults reporting money and work to each be a stressor, as well as, sorry, the last part is that 1/4 of adults identified discrimination as a significant source of stress, which has been the highest since in 2015. With Black adults 46% and Hispanic adults 36% reporting discrimination as a significant source of stress, compared to only 14% of white adults. So, with this information, we know that we need to get help. Now, luckily, despite us being more likely to report needing these issues, we are also more likely to go to therapy because we are not afraid of it. It is not something that is of a stigma. For me personally, I have not yet gone to therapy, but it is something that I plan on going to once I feel in a slightly more stable part of my life. I'm currently looking for different positions and fields, but the need for therapy for me has been a little bit lower priority because I have been able to have a very fortunate life. However, I know that I have been very positive and encouraging toward helping my other friends who have struggled more into getting therapy, as well as been something that has been very productive for them. There is, of course, when trying to seek and find a therapist, plenty of therapists who are not particularly good matches for the subject, but that looking and willingness to try things out and find more is something that we are a lot more likely and willing to process. Stas, do you kind of have a similar experience with what you've experienced and your perceptions on it?
Yeah, actually, I do. Especially when it comes to dealing with a lot of therapists. My first therapist, especially as it is, we didn't really match well, more so, especially as it is when I was more so talking about my life and my livelihood as it is. But once I found that right therapist, it clicked. And I always wanted to come back, and I saw that my mental health and my emotional state got better as it needed to, especially as Gen Z and seeing another few of my friends go ahead and take therapy and actually taking the cause to acknowledge that, hey, I may not have a lot of foundational things that I may need to work out mentally that I can't get through life, that I may need to seek therapy for this, and it has bettered a lot of them in many ways as well as me. And I gotta say, it's truly helped out my life be better as it is. And now, if today, if I could say it now, if I didn't have therapy, I wouldn't be where I am today, especially as it is.
Yeah. And also, just when on the topic of mental health, we do want to talk on two numbers where if you ever are in need, you can have the suicide prevention hotline, which is dialable at 988 in the United States, or the Trevor Project has 411. If you are more on the LGBT side and need something a little bit more specialized. Now, of course, it is something just to keep in mind with dealing with all these things is that, well, we're not necessarily alone. Again, there are various different stressors from kind of coming into the world and being like, hey, by the way, the planet's on fire and it's looking to get worse, to having again, more involved issues where the once free internet has suddenly needed to become a lot more profitable, and seeing issues with things such as Twitter with their blue check marks, Reddit with trying to to charge for its API, which has led to that moderation getting worse. Everything Meta going and selling lots and lots of data and kind of directing and influencing feeds, all of those different things has not been particularly helpful when it comes to mental health, especially with kind of drama and parasocial relationships. But that kind of increasing our knowledge and awareness and communication with each other has been something that has been a lot more helpful with, again, just allowing people to know more about what resources that they do indeed have for them. In terms of, granted, this is study finds, which I'm not sure how reputable the source that this is, but this is the Paula Zimmerman from Plexels. The said that 1 in 5 young adults were seeking a therapist, whereas 20% of Gen Z are seeking a regular therapist, with 57% seeking regular therapy. So, again, just increase numbers. I am pulling up the normal, or not the normal, but the percentage for other people who have gone to therapy. I do know that off of statistics from the Society Advancement of Psychotherapy, that you had 45.9% of millennials have gone to therapy at some point in their lives, compared to baby boomers that had 53.7, but that is also with more money and time to get access to those resources. And even with how young of a generation we have 57% on regular medication and 39% attending therapy for mental health issues at least once a week. So just something to be keeping aware of. For full disclosure, on this episode, we were originally going to have a few more people to talk about our individual points with therapy, as well as that. Fortunately, we did not have a specific news story that we had to discuss on. Oh yeah, here's a major mental health crisis news statistic, but is just having a little bit of a lighter episode for today.
Yeah.
So, Saz, do you have anything else? Do you know if there has been kind of pressure or helpfulness of therapy from people that have been older or experiences with that?
Yeah, especially as it is. I gotta thank my mom, especially as it needs to be more so, because as she's a veteran, not to mention also when it comes to be a lot of people when it comes to like taking care of your own and being in the military. I've seen a lot of people who have dealt with a lot of different mental, emotional, and physical experiences to where they may need therapy. And as she's older and need to be, she has told me that to never be afraid of therapy and never be afraid to ask for help, never be afraid to more so open up and understand one another as it needs to be. Because you have to build foundation before you're able to more so build a skyscraper, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes for human beings as well, especially when it comes to working on organizing, doing work, giving people medicine, taking care of people as it needs to be. When it comes to fixing yourself, not to mention also building the foundation to help yourself through all of that, it is a main need to make sure you're okay as well as others because you can't be able to help others when you can't help yourself, really. And it matters a lot when it comes to therapy, mental health, access, having people who are able to be supportive in your social network to make sure you are okay and you are able to be found, not just for yourself, but for others through therapeutic needs as well as mental and emotional needs, especially for people of color, trans people, and a lot of marginalized people, for people who may be disabled or happen to be neurodivergent. For me, I'm also neurodivergent, so mental health has taken a lot of great help for me, especially as it used to be.
Yeah. And with psychology kind of being something that's been one of the newer sciences, just having better understanding of different everything from disorders to just what is divergent behavior, I feel is definitely also brought awareness over time. I know that specifically on topics such as like autism has been something where it used to be, oh, this is a major disorder, to, oh, well, this is something that a lot of people can have and can use, but that doesn't necessarily keep you from being able to function within wider society. Very similarly to, if you have ADHD, that there is the ability to think and still just find different positions without it being something that is like a mark against you, at least within my experience. Now, the kind of elephant in the room when it comes to trying to deal with therapy is being able to find the costs of getting to therapy as well as getting provided with insurance that can potentially cover it. But that has been something where with the first step of, hey, at least I should go to therapy if I can afford it, when I can afford it, and convenience, that becoming a little bit more of a priority is something of relevance. So,
Yeah.
and like I said, today we were planning on having just more people, so it's going to be a lighter episode. And off of that, I do not have too much more to add to the topic. Stas, do you have anything for closing remarks?
Well, I would say, especially as it needs to be, when it comes to a lot of stress dealing with not just dealing with mental health as well as our world as it needs to be, it is always great to find places and accessible ways to help yourself and be able to take care of yourself when you get the chance to, especially with how much stress goes on economically, socially, physically, and dealing with all the other stuff it needs to be. So wish you the best.
Just know that you're not alone, that other people have gone through struggles and can assist you, and always just try to reach out to whoever you can, who you can trust. And if you do not have that, then there are many resources that are also available online to be able to get you through your darkest days. So stay safe, take care of yourself, and we will see you next week. Thank you.